Everyone should have a holistic goal to be as holistic human as much as possible. And I believe for you to do that, you have to connect to the 3 spheres of humanity. These spheres consist of societal responsibility, your spiritual self, and your individual self. See, over time we've disconnected from these 3 spheres. And I believe artificial intelligence and robotics can help us reconnect back to humanity. So in this talk, I'm going to start at the societal level, go to the spiritual level, then discuss the individual level. Now, a good friend of mine contracted COVID-19, and he was in a dire need. He got really sick and had to be hospitalized. But that hospital lacked resources, so he had to supplement with his own resources such as blankets. And now that got me thinking, what about people in society who do not have access to these extra resources? Because there are people like that in society that exist. What happens to them? Shortly after that, Advocate Andy Matobi, who's in charge of the Special Investigation Unit, approaches Parliament. And he tells Parliament that from April 2020 to June 2021, 14.8 billion rands was under some form of investigation of corruption. That's a problem. No, that's a big problem. Like South Africa, Ukraine has a serious corruption problem that drains the public resources. So Ukraine introduces a digital public procurement platform named Prozor in 2016. So essentially this software has 35 risk indicators that if you put a tender in, and if you're of a high risk, it automatically gets investigated. How smart is that? Fraudsters adapted to this, and they introduced an artificial intelligence software called Dozoro. Now in a 2018 beta test, Dozoro found in that test that 26% of the tenders were of some form of violation, according to a CMS publication. Open Stories publishes that Prozoro saved Ukraine $1.9 billion in 2 years. But Dozoro found 30,000 tenders were corrupt or in some form of violation or some form of nepotism at the value of $4 billion in 3 years. What does that mean for Africa with using such technology? What does that mean for South Africa using such technology? What does that mean for the people who couldn't get food parcels due to an indirect consequence of corruption? Could artificial intelligence and robotics bring the value of the common good out of all of us? I think it can. Now, I did say I'll speak about the spiritual sphere of humanity. Religion is under attack. The Lifeway research in 2019 published that 4,500 churches had closed down, Protestant churches had closed down that year. Now, religion is under attack in the global north, but my suspicion is the global south will soon follow. Now, you might look at me and say, what's the importance of religion or spirituality? But I can assure you there's multiple studies that show that religion and mindful practices facilitate a way for us to find forgiveness, to find love, to find purpose, and I believe that. So how's AI and robotics transforming this space? There's a BBC documentary called AI and Gods that documents in Tokyo, Japan, an AI robot created in the image of the god of mercy named Menda. She's covered in silicone to represent human skin. The Buddhists there believe that that robot is going to teach the principles of Buddhism way long after they're gone. If you look at Japanese developers, they created a robot called Pepper, and that carries out Buddhist rituals and even participates in Buddhist funerals. If you travel to Poland and also, there's a robot with 2,000 years of Catholic programming into it. And the priests don't even feel like they're being replaced, they actually work collaboratively with it. And if you're not religious and past spiritual, there's plenty AI programs for meditation, prayer, and mindful practices and so forth. What could that mean for Africa? Now, it's my approximation that the youth of today are not necessarily as interested in African culture as perhaps they should be. Could the African culture be more entertaining if you put 300 years of the Zulu culture in a machine that they can learn in their own time, considering that parents are busy at work? Open question. Now, I did promise I'll also speak about the individual self. We know that anxiety and depression is a serious problem in society today. We've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go. South Africa's National Strategic and Policy Plan 2013 to 2020 says that neuropsychotic disorder contributes as third to the burden of disease of South Africa, only getting beaten by infectious diseases such as HIV and AIDS and so forth. Ms. Chamber, who's the operation director of the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, estimate that only 27% of South Africans who need mental health actually get it. Those are scary statistics. How can AI help? Now, y'all are familiar with chatbots, right? The text conversation-based software that you can have on your phone or your computer. What if I told you that AI chatbots specifically designed for your mental health? There's a study in a publication in 2017 by Ackerman and his research associates that showed that the chatbot named Tess helped workers in the healthcare system with their emotional support. What would that mean for our nurses during lockdown? In 2018, there was a publication by Fulmer and her research associates who showed that the chatbot named Tess helped contribute to reducing anxiety and depression for college students. And as a university student, I can tell you now, that would be hella useful. Also considering that in university now, if you try and book for a therapist, you're only going to get help or an appointment a month later. You can put it on your phone. Now there's a part of the psychological field that say there's still a lot to understand about these chatbots. And that's true. But we can all come here and agree that at least we're heading in the right direction. Just by your speech patterns, the AIs that can predict your probability of you getting psychosis way better than clinical traditional methods can. AI is picking Parkinson's disease very faster too. Now, The Matrix is my favorite movie because it's the best movie of all time, no bias. Yes. But it depicts AI and robotics in an Armageddon way for humanity. I beg to differ. I challenge you. Maybe AI and robotics are a friend. Maybe it could help us reconnect back to humanity.